Hey, fun people! Welcome back to Everything Aja. If you are new here, my name is Aja. Introduce yourself down below in the chat box. Let me know what is your name and what do you teach. Welcome to our Chatted Up Saturdays. If you're wondering what these little strings are, you might not know, but I am a mother of a 5-year-old, and she saw the balloons that I had in the house and she tied them to my chair. So just a few minutes ago, I was like, baby, I gotta go live. She was like, no, I wanted to tie your balloon. So she wanted us to look at the strings today to celebrate. But yeah, there we go. So that's just like a little token of her appreciation having these balloons that you can like barely see. So, ta-da! Welcome to our Chatted Up Saturday. Our Chatted Up Saturdays here at Everything Aja allows us to really dive in deep. We talk, we fellowship, we dive into reading tips, online games. I mean, you name it, this is the place. This is also a place where you can drive the topic and discussion as well. So we strongly encourage you to be interactive. So introduce yourself down below. Good morning, good morning, good morning. We do this each and every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today's topic, believe it or not, I'm giving you everything you need to know about the 5 components to reading. You name it, I am sharing it with you today from, look, the A to Z's of the science of readings. 5 components of reading. So I'm excited. I know that you are excited as well. Like I said, comment, let me know, what do you teach? And also, what do you immediately think of when you hear of teaching reading? Do you think of when I hear teaching reading, I know a lot of people, they immediately go to decoding, or they go to reading comprehension. What do you think about when you hear the phrase teaching reading? You said you're excited. Oh, awesome. Love the excitement. I love the excitement. So let's go ahead and just get started. Let me know, what do you think when you teach reading? And as you are commenting that down below, let me just introduce myself for those that do not know me. My name is Aja. I'm an educational consultant. I have been a kindergarten through 5th grade curriculum specialist, serving as a administrator, literally the administrator over all things teaching and learning. You name it, I have been over it. I have over 10 plus years in teaching in Title One schools and working in Title One schools, both in the classroom and out of the classroom on the administration level. I have my reading endorsement. I've been a reading coach. I'm Orton Gillingham certified. I've done the letters training. You name it, I have done it. So that's a little bit about me here at Everything Aja. My mission here is to literally help teachers and homeschool parents teach their struggling readers without ever feeling overwhelmed. So I help you go from feeling frustrated about teaching reading, feeling overwhelmed about teaching reading, feeling teacher burnout, into feeling confident, feeling prepared, and knowing without a shadow of a doubt that you truly are making a difference. And today, like I said, this is our Chatted Up Saturdays. Today, we're going to dive into everything you need to know about the 5 components of reading here on Chatted Up Saturdays. This is not just me talking, so you can definitely comment down below all of your thoughts, all of your expertise. Just the other week, we were doing spring activities, and I loved how each and every person commented to the conversation and kept the conversation going. So excited. Good morning. Woo woo. Hey Rochelle. Hey Bonnie. Hello. All right. So I have to always talk about the gap. Most of us deal with children that are classified as struggling readers, i.e., they are a little bit beneath where the proficiency level is, and the proficiency level is simply where they're expected to be. So you may have a child that is not decoding as well as the other people their age group. Maybe they're not comprehending as well as other children in their age group. And so eventually they begin to hate reading. But in the meantime, you are struggling, you are burned out trying to give them all the strategies they need to go from not liking to read to loving how to read. And it simply boils down to all of these different pieces. And what ends up happening when we have struggling readers is we try to overcompensate for the deficit, and we try to, give them everything, but in all actuality with reading there's so many different components. They actually need all five components. And so I want to ask, before I give you all five components, let me know down below in the chat box. I'm putting y'all on the spot. Even if you're watching the replay, I'm putting you on the spot. I want you to comment right now. Do you know all five components of reading? So when you hear the five components of reading that every child must have, do you know what those five components are? Rochelle, you said, I'm inviting parents to this chat now. Come on now. Yes, spread the word right now. Yes, I love it. I love it. But putting y'all on the spot, okay? What when you hear five components of reading, and it's okay, maybe you only know one or two. You said pre-K and kindergarten. Okay, so you may know a component or so. But when you hear that all five components of reading, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Um, Okay. Okay, cool. I love it. I love the honesty. You're like, I don't even know what the five components of reading are. Let me know. I appreciate the honesty, Rochelle. I appreciate it. You're like, yep, I do not know. Bonnie said yes. So drop some. What do you think of when you hear it? All right. If not, let me just give y'all the answer. I always like to tease you, and then I'm just gonna give it to you. All right. So reading, the big umbrella of reading actually has five different components that every child must have in order to become an effective reader. They have to have a foundation of phonemic awareness or phonological awareness, and that's dealing with sounds, manipulation of sounds, segmenting of sounds and words, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. And we're going to explore each one in detail. He said phonemic awareness, phonics, fluid. Come on now. Yes, Bonnie. There you go. Rochelle said, okay, yes, I do know these. There we go. See, you knew more than you thought. You're like, okay, yes, I'm with you. I'm with you. And the crazy part is this one of those things that we kind of put in the back burner of our brains. In fact, when I am moving these strings. I'm sorry. My baby wanted us to have the balloons, but they're aggravating my arms. Back, in the day, it was rolled out as the five pillars of reading. And now that there's, the science of reading, we've gotten all of this research on how important it is to strategically teach reading. We see that children are not born with the ability to read. We are born with the ability to speak, but we are not born with the ability to read. And so we have to be explicitly be taught all five of these components. And so now, even with the science of reading, you might see it not only saying five components of reading, but actually six components of reading. And that is because oral language sometimes is also classified as a component of reading because oral language is the foundation of reading. If children do not have a solid oral language, foundation, then they will struggle with reading. And so I know even within my program, Teaching by Design, one of the ways I get children to fall in love with reading is through read alouds. But not only does it allow children to fall in love with reading, believe it or not, is actually one of the key components of how to develop oral language. As children begin to develop oral language before they're even reading, they can do that by simply answering questions. As you're reading aloud, they're responding. They're learning new vocabulary words. They're putting meaning to words, and a child does that before they even read. So oral language does form as the foundation of reading before some of these other skills are even developed. All right, so let's jump into the first skill, which is phonemic awareness. And I say phonemic awareness, but know that phonemic awareness is a part of phonological awareness. So I guess in essence, I should have said phonological awareness instead of phonemic awareness, because phonological awareness not only includes phonemic awareness, but it also includes word, on the word level, as the i.e. rhyming or alliteration, segmenting of words and sentences, onset and rhymes. And so phonological awareness is a little more broad, but hey, to each his own. So, phonemic awareness is simply the ability to hear and identify individual sounds in words. And so, we're taking one little portion of the big umbrella, and we are dealing with simply the ability to manipulate sounds, and I'm going to do it like this so y'all not getting dizzy. Not only that, but phonemic awareness is a crucial component in learning to read and write. In fact, this is the kind of the way we always tell children to sound it out, sound it out. I always share the story of when I was a little girl. I did not learn phonemic awareness. I did not learn phonics. In fact, I was just thrown out to the woods to just learn how to read. Like, it was like, hear these words, memorize them, learn how to read. Ha ha, bye, see you later. And I did not have this foundation. And whenever my mom would say sound it out, I was like, I don't have the tools to sound it out. Okay, these strings. Told y'all my daughter brought these balloons over here. But I did not have the tools to sound it out. And so now, as an adult teaching children how to read, I see how important it is for them to learn how to manipulate sounds. Because if they can learn how to manipulate sounds, then they will know how to spell and how to write and how to read. Not only that, phonemic awareness also can be developed through activities including rhyming, blending, and even segmenting of sounds. And so as you're actually teaching children how to do these type of activities, they are learning how to do this. In fact, this week I just got off a call with my teaching by design students. Love you guys. And we went over visual phonemic and phonological awareness activities and how you can use like just a simple picture just like this to teach children how to manipulate sounds. Like, isn't that crazy? Like, one picture, I can literally teach a child alliteration. I could teach them isolation of initial sounds, isolation of final sounds, just by simply showing them a picture. And that includes no words. They do not need to read to develop phonemic awareness skills. All they need to know is how to manipulate those sounds. And so you can do that by literally showing them pictures, giving them prompts, or even simply doing verbal prompts. These phonological awareness activities actually have 18 prompts that you can use. Literally just plug them into your lesson plan. They actually help you teach your children rhyming, syllables, sound deletion, segmentation, alliteration, blending, and even initial and final sound. So over 18 verbal phonological prompts you can literally just plug and play into your lessons. So I just want to give an example. Something you could say to your children is, let's do something fun. I'm going to say different syllables. I want you to see if you can actually, if you can guess the actual word that I'm trying to say. And so then you would literally just say syllables and see if they can put the pieces together. Hello, hello, hello. And so watch this, watch this. All right, so y'all ready? Swallow. And so they try to put those sounds together, swallow, and they can do things like swallow, swallow. And then you can do something as snowball, put it together, snowball. Sandbox, sandbox. You can even do 3-syllable words such as metallic, metallic, put it together, fantastic, fantastic, and see if they can put them together. There's also things such as seeing if they can, if you give them a word, if they can give you a rhyming word. So if I say cat, can you give me another rhyming word? Or if I give you I'm sorry, let me get something to drink real quick. Or if I give you two words, can you tell me if these words rhyme or not? So bat and ball, do they rhyme? No. Or you could say, what is the initial sound of the word ball? B. Awesome. Can you think of another word that starts with the same sound as ball? Bat. And so now I combined it initial sound, initial sound isolation and alliteration. And so you can literally help children develop phonemic and phonological awareness skills simply by using prompts. And so make sure you stay tuned to the end because I'm going to share with you how you can get all 18 phonological awareness prompts to do these things. So I have any questions on phonemic awareness and how you can literally use questions like this to develop their phonological awareness abilities. Something else I want to just kind of discuss is substitution. That is one of the hardest skills to develop when it comes to phonological awareness. And substitution is literally like I'm going to still use cat and stuff. So if I were to say to a child, all right, go ahead and segment the sounds in cat. They would say k, at. Now I want you to say cat without the k sound. At. Okay. Now replace the k sound in cat with the b sound. And then they would say bat, but at. So, in order to get to that final skill of substituting those sounds, I kind of like made sure that they could do it along the way. So, I started with making them break down that word and then deleting that first sound and then replacing that first sound. And so, you can only imagine this is a higher skill and a skill that would typically be developed in about a first or second grade classroom, but it is a skill that a lot of our children in fourth and fifth grade don't have simply because they were never asked these type of questions. They were never forced to do these type of assignments. Um, okay, Rochelle said on the VPK assessment, this was the biggest hiccup once we started isolating skills in one syllable words. Yes, our children, to be honest, before all this research, we've always known that phonological awareness was a crucial part to reading. But it was never really expressed, or it was just something that we left to the kindergarten teachers. Do I have anybody like, yep, I left it to the kindergarten teacher. We were like, okay, y'all teach that. And by the time they're in first grade and up, you just assumed that they knew these things. You assumed that they had it and they didn't have it. Why? Because all of these skills aren't just developed in kindergarten. And they struggle with phonics because they don't have that solid foundation of phonological awareness. They struggle with phonological awareness if they don't have that oral language. And so, like, all of these pieces really are like a puzzle piece, and not even that. Have you ever played dominoes? Like you put all the domino pieces together, but if they're not placed just right with the right amount of space, then when you drop one, they don't all drop. It's almost like that. That if you have something out of place when you go to reading comprehension or something in the upper grades, if they don't have that foundation, it's really going to be like a failed domino experiment. You say cat without the k sound is how the phrasing in the VPK assessment, and most of them were confused. There we go. And like a lot of times it's because they're confused because they did not have those opportunities to learn those skills. They did not have the opportunities to practice those skills. And so we have to give them the opportunities, no matter what grade level we are, to develop all five components of reading. Because if not, they're going to be lacking. So thank you so much, Rochelle, for sharing that. I mean, that's super key. And it's one of those things that I know that I was never taught, and you probably were never taught it either. And so now going into teaching children and understanding the importance of teaching sound manipulation and sound segmentation and all these other big words, you're like, well, hey, whoa, we were never taught that. But in actuality, this is why there are so many struggling readers out there. And believe it or not, these skills, I always express it. I know I express it with my students, that these skills are developed. They can all be developed verbally. You can do them while you're in the car if you're a homeschool parent. You can do them on the way to the bathroom if you are a teacher. You can do them as you get your kids in the bus line. I mean, like these sort of questions and activities can be used throughout your entire time of day. And so I definitely want you to print out these phonological awareness prompts and literally walk around with them, use them, literally put a little clip. One of my clients, Keisha, she is big for putting things. She's like, I like this teaching smarter, not harder. She'll laminate it, put a clip on it, and use those prompts no matter where you are. Okay. You on a field trip, you on a 45-minute bus ride, hey, start going over those verbal clips. All right. All right, so let's move to the next pillar of reading, which normally is the one that everybody likes to talk about, and that is phonics. Yes, it is true. Phonics is the foundation of reading and writing. It's kind of the bridge between what they read, what versus what they see, and what they're actually writing. So they're kind of connecting what they've heard when it comes to phonological awareness, but now they're putting letters to it. Now they're forming the word. So they're not just hearing the sounds in k, at, but they're actually reading CAT and putting all of that together. And so they're putting those dots together when it comes to phonics. Not only is phonics the foundation of reading and writing, but it also is the ability to connect letters with sounds and use these sounds to then form words. So there's actually like a two-layer part to it. You want to connect letters with sounds. That's like phase one of phonics. But then the next phase is connecting those sounds to form words. And then that next phase, I like to call my phase three, is connecting syllables to read and decode multisyllabic words. So the within phonics, there's almost like a tiered system to it. Phonics instruction can improve reading comprehension and spelling patterns as children begin to learn what words mean. You'll notice that they'll start to see spelling patterns, and as they see the spelling patterns, they'll start to connect the word meanings with those words. And so, one thing I love about the science of reading research is the understanding of how phonics and decoding actually has to be paired with word meaning in order to develop reading comprehension. So often we went from phonics to comprehension, but there's that other piece of understanding word meaning. And I would like to say I've been privileged with understanding that. And that's one way that I have taught so many children how to close in their learning gaps even in upper grades is by simply understanding how vocabulary works, and how you can use like different vocabulary strategies and techniques to determine what the meaning of unknown words actually means. So Rochelle, you said your children would reply cat without the k, and that's when you discovered we have to incorporate learning that skill in a more organic or engaging way, like you're saying. Yes, girl. So I encourage you to print out these prompts and just use them every chance you get. I know with my clients, I always teach them to just you just really need 5 minutes a day. You just need 5 minutes a day. Dedicate 5 minutes of your day to teaching these skills. I'm sure you can find 5 minutes of your day, even if it's the bathroom breaks. Make it a really fun game. I know they want the hallways to be quiet, but that is prime real estate right there. I mean, the bathroom break literally can be 20 minutes of wasted instruction or 20 minutes of let me do some drill practice, in a very structured way. So You can literally ask the prompts. Once you ask the prompts, they have to raise their hand so they're not talking. And then when you choose one child to answer, when that child answers, ding, you give them a dojo point. And so they're able to get dojo points as they're doing this really quietly, and they love it because one, it becomes a game. They're able to get some dojo points. This is literally what I used to do all the time. Like my principal used to be like, "You're the only one that's always making your kids learn," because I'm like, everything is a learning experience. While you're lining up, that's a learning experience. While we're in the hallway, that's a learning experience. Dismissal, that's a learning experience. And so when we think about maximizing instructional time, there are so many times in our days that we're transitioning that we can be using as learning experiences. So I challenge you right here, right now, to think of 5 minutes that you can dedicate to doing these phonological awareness prompts. Okay, so when it comes to phonics and literally improving, reading comprehension skills, you said facts, use that time. Yes, yes, yes. When it comes to phonics and connecting letters with sounds, and then sounds to words, and then syllables to multisyllabic words, I know last week we literally went down and did a full in-depth step-by-step tutorial on orthographic mapping. If you missed last week's Chat It Up Saturday, go back, re-watch that tutorial. And this is an example of an orthographic mapping template that teaches children literally how to break down unknown words, how to go from saying a word to counting the different phonemes or sounds within the words, to using their hands, that hands-on experience that so many of our children, especially children of color, need, to also using poppets. If you don't know what a poppet is, that's this device. You probably see them at Walmart, Target, Dollar Tree. But to literally tap out the different sounds and to even write the sounds. We went over different orthographic mapping templates that you can use to get children to go from hearing a word to spelling a word. In fact, orthographic mapping is the bridge between reading and spelling. It helps them spell words. And so this is a part of phonics as we connect these dots. And so you can use orthographic mapping templates to help you do this. They're perfect for hands-on activities. You can literally, I give you three different options to choose from. There's three different free orthographic mapping templates. And then you can use them for 3, 4, or 5 phoneme words. Or that's just how many sounds are in the word. So, like, for example, the word flat has at. That is 4 different phonemes or 4 different sounds. And so we would call that word a CCVC word, or consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant. So FL are the 2 first consonants, the A is the first vowel, and then that last T is the next consonant. So there we have phonics. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let me know if you are excited to get these freebies. The next component of reading is vocabulary, and we kind of touched on vocabulary a little bit. And it's literally one of the things, if anybody were to come to me and he asked me, okay, how do I get these children to kind of increase in a very short amount of time? For example, do I have anybody that teaches upper grades? Because standardized testing is right around the corner. But or do you have a child that is in third, fourth, or fifth grade? And with standardized testing right around the corner, you may find that you have children that are like on the borderline, like they're in between, either being behind or proficient to being to actually excel, or they're just kind of on the borderline. Well, vocabulary is that component that you can literally go all in on to kind of push that gap. And that's because vocabulary allows children to learn new words in context, that as they see a word, for example, on a standardized test, they can decipher what that complicated word is. They have skills and ways to take that word apart and figure out the meaning of that unknown word. Not only that, when it comes to vocabulary, you can use flashcards, of course. That's what we always used to teach in the old days. But I like to say, turn those flashcards into games to allow children to not to memorize new words. And it's not about memorizing a word per se, as it is seeing a word over and over and over again, so that now you know what that word means. And this is why orthographic mapping is so big, because as children start to see that word over and over again, they now literally kind of do have it memorized. They don't have to learn it time and time again. For example, my daughter, she literally, I know I just did a video on this. She started reading last month, and now the girl is zooming through words like clockwork, because she now doesn't just have these words memorized, but she's seen them time and time again. We've done CVC games, so she's seen the word cat so many times. She now knows the word cat. So turn the flashcards that you know you have, whether there are, maybe there's science flashcards that you have and their vocabulary words that go are related to science or social studies, but turn those cards into really fun games. I actually have an entire video on flashcard games. I actually have a few videos on flashcard games. So turn those flashcards into games. And another way to include and to improve fluency is simply by reading every day, to improve to not fluency, I'm sorry, vocabulary, is to read every single day. And this is because the more a child reads, or the more you read to a child, the more they are exposed to unknown words. And the more they're exposed to unknown words, the more they can actually practice trying to determine unknown words. And so one way they can do that is by using context clues. They can use word meaning. They can use affixes, such as the meaning of prefixes and suffixes, and how they actually change the meaning of the word. And not only that, you make this as fun as possible, so they're not just memorizing a whole bunch of words. Y'all remember spelling tests back in the day? Let me just tell you a brief little story. Okay, my mother, and mom, if you're on here, don't yell at me. My mom was like the spelling guru. Like, she loved spelling. And with me, like I stated, I was taught how to memorize. When I was taught how to read, that's when sight words kind of really, were just getting pushed out. And so I learned how to memorize words. Period. That's how I learned how to read. You could not tell me anything. Okay, straight A student. I was like, I love reading. And I was taught how to memorize words, basically. But my mom was taught how to sound out words. She was taught old school phonics. And so spelling was her thing. Well, when it came for a spelling test, y'all remember the list of spelling words? I would spend all night with my mom going over those words to memorize those words. And I would have those down. Boop, boop, boop. I would take my test. I would get 100 on my spelling test. And y'all want to know what happened that next week? I forgot them. I forgot all of those words that I just spent memorizing. Why? Because I learned what that word was just to pass the test. I know I am not alone. Let me know down below in the chat box. Was this you growing up? Like, you would learn the words, you would take that spelling test, and then all of those words would just magically just like poof and disappear. And you were literally learning those words to literally put in your short-term memory bank, because you knew you would have the test. We weren't taught the skills to learn how to decode and sound out words like these children are. So that's why, we have all those phonics skills. But when it comes to vocabulary, the best way I can tell you to get children to learn these words by sight is by doing games. The more you expose children to these words, even sight words, the more children are exposed to sight words, the more children are exposed to words with prefixes and suffixes, the more children are exposed to having to use context clues, the better they will be over time. And so I even have a sight word game that you can play. It's a sight word charade games. Like I said, make sure you stay to the end, because I'm going to share with you how you can get all of these freebies. But with this game, you can put kids into teams, or you can even work with children one-on-one if you are doing homeschool. And this just allows them to practice sight words. It's a fun way to not only sit there and drill and kill, because I mean those flashcards, they don't work, but you can take those flashcards and you can make them in a really fun game. You said you learned the same way. Come on now. I knew I wasn't by myself. But yeah, yes, yes, yes. All right. So we have covered phonemic awareness, we've covered phonics, and we've covered vocabulary. The next component or old school pillar of reading is fluency. And this is where you will have to be accurate and kind of automatic when it comes to word recognition. Earlier, we talked about as children, shared with my daughter, for example, the more she was exposed to the word cat, now it's an automatic thing. She has that word in her vocabulary bank, and now she is fluent at reading that word. So this is like that automaticity when it comes to word recognition, but it is also the accuracy when it comes to reading. And when I say accuracy, I mean being correct. Not only that, the reading at the appropriate speed, phrases. So, example, you don't want to read really, really, really fast, but you don't know what you're saying. The words are just all over the place. And then as soon as you stop, you're like, I don't know what I just said. Or the opposite, you read like a robot. Have you ever had a kid that reads like a robot? Like, I know I'm not the only one. And you're like, baby, come on now. Let's keep going faster. Let's keep going faster. Or kids that are just monotone. And they're missing this last piece. They're not reading with expression. They're not paying attention to punctuation, i.e., the entire book was one big long run-on sentence. They never stopped at a period. They never changed their voice at an exclamation point or a question mark. They literally treated the entire thing as one long monotone sentence. Literally. And fluency is that. So not only does fluency come when it comes to automatic word recognition, but also when it comes to reading, that's reading at the appropriate speed, reading at the appropriate accuracy, expression, paying attention to punctuation. And one way you can develop fluency with the children is by tracking their correct words per minute, getting children excited to read more literally within a designated amount of time. And so one way you can do that is by using a reading fluency tracking sheet. And this just allows you to track how many correct words per minute a child reads. Now, this is not taken in account if they're comprehending the words. This is strictly just dealing with the phrase, like how they're actually reading. But this actually allows children to set a goal and then monitor reaching that goal. This helps increase their rate and accuracy in reading, and it also motivates children to read. For me, I do this every Friday with my children. They absolutely love doing it. It only takes not even 5 minutes out of my Friday routine, and we only did it every Friday. Every 6 weeks, you would literally look at their graph and see how much they've grown. Do I have anybody that does this with their children? Or you're like, no, I don't do this. I need to do this. But tracking their fluency, I watch my children year after year after year get excited and motivated to want to read. They like to see themselves increase. And even though they're just tracking their correct words per minute, the person that is listening to them read is listening to their expression. They're listening to how they do. And then they're providing them with fluency feedback. They're like, I love the way you stopped at the periods. I love the way that you changed your voice when it came to dialogue. And they would literally just give them one little brief compliment, and it would literally change the game. They were so excited when it came to them, and I loved watching them do this each and every week. Like, absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal, especially when it comes to motivating children just to read, because we've all seen it. We've had children that simply just did not want to read. They're like, yep, don't want to do this. You can dismiss me with it, right? You can dismiss me. And you're spinning all your wheels, and sometimes it can literally be as simple as getting them to track how many words they can read in 60 seconds. I'm telling you. Also, I just want to pause real quick right now just to remind you. Stick around. I'm about to share with you how you can get all of these free activities. But also, I ask that you hit the thumbs up button if you are hearing something new that you want to implement. Let me know that down below in the chat box. If you want to add to this conversation, like I stated, this is a group. It is a community. Let me know down below in the chat box. We've been talking about the 5 components of reading and how important it is to literally teach children all 5 components when it comes to reading. So I ask that you hit the like button, and then share, send this to some other teachers, get them more involved into wanting not only to learn about all 5 components, but to also teach all 5 components. All right, you said you present winning paragraphs about a child. Ooh, let's hear more about it. You said you go over my name is, and then insert child's name. I am a girl. I have 2 sisters and 1 dog. And they recognize the word name because it's on every worksheet. That builds, momentum. I like that. Cool. Yes. And so the more they see that word, name, the easier it is for that word or phrase, whatever it may be, to literally get added into their vocabulary. Love it, love it, love it. All right, you guys guessed it, but without me saying it, you already know we have covered oral language, we've covered phonemic awareness, i.e., phonological awareness, the bigger umbrella. Really, we've covered phonics, we've covered vocabulary, we've covered fluency, and the last component is one of the ones that we all is it's almost treated as the ultimate goal of reading. But one thing we learned, especially with the science of reading research, is you can't get to reading comprehension without having a solid foundation of decoding skills, i.e., phonological awareness and phonics, and also word meaning, i.e., vocabulary and oral language. And so those 2 pieces are really multiplied together, and there's like a wonderful great multiplication problem, and those 2 pieces are multiplied together in order to give us the grand scheme of reading comprehension. And when you look at a lot of the reading standards that we are required to teach by law, those are all based on reading comprehension. And so often we like force these things down children's throats. What is the main idea? What is the theme? What is this? But in all actuality, our children don't have those first 2 pieces. They don't have what they need to decode. They don't have what they need to determine unknown words. And when they don't have that meaning to not only decode unknown words, but to also figure out the meaning of an unknown word, it is impossible for them to comprehend a text. Whether it's a text on grade levels, the text above grade level, they will not have what they need without those first 2 pieces. Um, you said then your children are excited to read and write about themselves. Of course, anytime you can make something personable to a child, anytime you can make something about themselves, they are like gun ho on learning and doing, right? They're like, hey, this is about me. So way to go, Rochelle. So proud of you, girl. All right, let's jump into comprehension. And comprehension is literally what we our ultimate goal is with reading. It's activating prior knowledge before even reading a text. It's that higher order thinking that happens when it comes to reading. It's using context clues to help understand unfamiliar words. It's like I said, most of the standards that we teach, it's visualizing what you are reading to aid comprehension when you're reading. As in, when you read a book to a story, one thing you can literally do is do read alouds. I tell you, I'm really big on read alouds. Not only do read alouds improve oral language, and read alouds are key at any age, 5th grade or even 5 years old, right? From 5 to 10 years old. Um, even now, I like to be read to. Shoot, read to me, baby. But one thing you can do is read to your children, have them close their eyes and visualize everything you're saying before you even show them the picture of what's on the text. Because so often, we read and we're showing kids the pictures as we're reading. But one way you can get them to force themselves to visualize what they're reading about is by not showing them the pictures until after. And that kind of really helps them visualize what they are hearing, and helps them comprehend the story. Other things you can do to aid this kind of higher order thinking is by asking questions. That's the best way you can literally improve comprehension questions. And so there's really three parts when it comes to reading, and when you talk about asking questions, and that's before you even read a text. Like we just said, you want to activate the background knowledge, and then during reading, that's while you're actually reading a story or while they are reading a story, and then after the reading is finished. And so those are the three different parts: before reading, during, and after reading. But within those three parts, you are to be asking questions to probe this type of higher level thinking. But what if you don't have those questions at hand? Do you have to pre-read every single book? Well, you know we're all about working smarter, not harder. So here are 10 free reading comprehension questions that can help you do that. And these comprehension questions are based on before reading, during reading, and after reading. And so literally take these questions, put them in your small group area, wherever it is that you read to your children, your read aloud center, your sheet. I'm not your sheet, your rug with your little rocking chair, wherever it is that you practice reading, use these comprehension questions to get them thinking at each different point of reading, before, during, and after reading. So some of the questions include, like before reading, you may ask, using the title, what do you think this story will be about? Bam, that helps them do predicting. Guess what? That's a standard. Using the pictures in the story, do a picture walk. What do you think the story will be about? Once again, predicting, only now you're giving them a little bit more context. I see a picture of a tiger on the front cover. What do you already know about tigers? So now you're like probing and pulling out their background knowledge and getting them to comprehend the story. And the great thing about these comprehension questions is you can literally just plug and play them into your lessons. Like, man, making lesson planning even easier for you, man. Let's work smarter, not harder. So we've covered all five components of reading. So I want to know, how confident are you in teaching all five of these components? Now, Rochelle, you know the name of the game. You're like, oh, I've heard of all of those. Yep, these are all five crucial components of reading. And also we want to also throw in oral language in there because it is a very crucial point that acts as the foundation from all of this. But let me know simply with a thumbs up, down, thumbs down, even if you're watching the replay. Comment down below, how confident are you in teaching all five of these components? Are you very confident or not confident at all? And I want to let you know, no matter what, if you're thumbs up or thumbs down when it comes to teaching these, I'm about to give you a tool that can help you teach all five of these components. And so you've heard me today talk about all these free things that you can get to help teach all five of these components. I see a thumbs up. Awesome. And so I want to present to you the reading toolkit. So I share with you five free things, i.e., phonological awareness prompts, comprehension prompts, reading fluency tracking sheets, orthographic mapping for phonics, and even sight word games. But also in the toolbox, you also receive a free ebook. There's one for teachers and even one for parents to do. So Rochelle, you can literally send this to all your parents. Send them the reading toolkit, because now they have the reading ebook, and then they also have all the tools to help their children. In addition to that, there's a kindergarten through fifth grade readiness checklist. That kindergarten through fifth grade readiness checklist is crucial during this time of year, because literally you can literally identify what skills it is they need for that next grade level. So for example, right now, let's say a child is in kindergarten, you will look at the first grade readiness checklist to see what they need to know before going into that first grade classroom. And when you think about readiness, you think about what they need before they are ready to receive that next grade level standards. And so as you guys are literally wrapping up this school year, we we have about 6 more weeks left. Some people only have about 5 more weeks, but whatever it is, this readiness checklist will help you literally fine tune. Okay, what's really important? What do I really need to be focusing on before they go to that next grade level? And so this literally free toolkit, free, completely free to you. This reading toolkit is the only free resources out there. Believe me, I've done my research, and so I wanted to make something that had never been done before. But it helps you teach all 5 components of reading without feeling overwhelmed. Everything in the toolkit is designed to help you teach smarter, not harder. You will see how you can grab your toolkit in the chat box and even in the description. Bonnie says she's a thumbs up because of being in Teaching by Design. And if you're like, what is Teaching by Design? I've heard her talk about it. Well, Teaching by Design is actually my membership program of teachers and even homeschool parents, where I literally help support them, literally teach all 5 of these components and so much more with ease. We meet each and every month, 3 times a month. They have the opportunity to get their questions. They get all of this plus more. Like, you think this reading toolkit is good, man? Teaching by Design, they get so much more. For example, I just shared with you this week, we just had a training on visual phonological awareness activities. They received 100, actually it was 300. Oh, I'm sorry, 300 sound cards to help phonological awareness, in addition to PowerPoints on phonological awareness that they can easily just go and implement it with their children. Like how we have the comprehension questions in the toolkit, where you guys are getting 10 for free, but they have almost 100. And so like they just kind of get more in detail trainings. And so hey, if you're interested in learning more, you can always go to everythingaja.com/join and learn even more about Teaching by Design. So excited to have Bonnie. Would love to welcome even more of you guys into the program. It's amazing. Certainly amazing. Well, I am certainly excited. I'm even more excited for you to grab your reading toolkit. Let me know down below how this has helped you teach all 5 components of reading. I've enjoyed you guys this Chatted Up Saturday. If you're watching the replay, don't forget, comment down below. If you have not yet already, hit that big thumbs up button, share this, send it with some other teachers, some other homeschool parents, some other one of your parents, and tell them to grab their reading toolkit. They do not want to miss out on this free kit. Certainly enjoyed you guys actively down below in the chat box, Rochelle and Bonnie. So excited. Would love to welcome even more of you guys into Teaching by Design, where you can get even more in-depth training. But if not, I will see you guys next Saturday. We are live every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. See you guys next week.